How you all doing? We are back in the porterhouse talking about beer, and this week we're going to be talking about Brian's favorite beer. Stick around for that. Right, so here we are once again in the porterhouse, the wonderful porterhouse, our living room. Our
home from home.
But I think we both spend more time here than we do in our homes.
And in no way is that a depressing thought.
Right, so what is not depressing what we have here?
JP.
What do we have here? Right, first of all, this is the beginning of our month of March, which we're going to be talking about purely just Irish beers and quality Irish beers, and giving out about the other ones. So.
We might give out too much. We might give out a bit.
What the other one? Cool.
Just up the river there, I believe.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so what do we have here?
I want to introduce you to my very good friends. So we're going to do two, because one's liver though. So what we have here, these are both from the 8 Degrees Brewing. They're based down in Mitchelstown in Cork. Very far away, both distance and time, because Mitchelstown is in the past. Right, that's.
I played those.
That's. Oh, I spent most of my summers down that part.
Did you?
I love it. So, the 8 Degrees Brewery, based in Cork. There is a Kiwi and an Australian, and they're brewing there since maybe 2013. Give or take?
Yeah, so not reasonably new.
Yeah. What they do better than most, as we touched on, we went into a bit of detail last week on hops.
Yeah.
Hops are where the flavour comes from. What these guys do is, what these guys do better than this one is the Nomad. India Pale Lager. Now, it's a lager, however, just get your nose around that.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Whereas the one we had, the reason I've gone with two, we'll do that in a second. But if you look at last week when we had the Stone IPA, which was dry and strong, and it looks almost the same.
It's very similar.
Very similar. The difference with the 8 Degrees guys, well, it's not as dry. It's very fruity.
Yeah.
You know. Oh God. And that's a lager, you know. Lagers wouldn't traditionally have the depth of flavour, but that keeps on giving. Way after you finish.
I would have never have thought that the lager. Like,
that's the beauty of the 8 Degrees. They're such good brewers. That is absolutely terrific stuff. The beer underneath it is perfect. Irish malts. The hops, Mosaic and Citra. Are you written on the bottle, are they? Cascade, there we go. Cascade, Nelson, Sauvin and Citra. Cascade, probably the one that's gone in first for your bittering. And Nelson Sauvin, as in Sauvignon Blanc, as in the Sauvin Valley. It is the Sauvin Valley in New Zealand, where the hop comes from. It's got that same fruity flavour. All the hops that come out of New Zealand and Tasmania, where they're growing loads of hops, have that wonderful fruity tropical flavour.
Yeah.
It's like a candle lit.
yeah, that's definitely. But it's still surprisingly dry as well. Like it's not. Well, you wouldn't call it a sweet beer by any stretch of the imagination.
occasionally you get people asking for, you know, can you do anything a bit sweeter? I don't like the bitter. And I think there's enough sweetness in that. It does end quite bitter.
Well, don't get me wrong, I love this. This is amazing.
Oh yeah. Oh, they rarely get it wrong, these guys. And they're a tiny wee brewery. And that's the thing that makes them.
Mitchelstown, we're on our way.
Mitchelstown. Oh,
we're gonna go and check out your brewery.
and it's a beautiful
This is the
part of
stuff
the
you do,
world.
like.
It's an absolutely beautiful part of the world down there.
Oh, Lord.
The Nomad, ratebeer.com.
Yeah.
One of the bigger websites devoted to rating beer, imagine that. And that's just based on user reviews on people who drank the beer. And that beer won, got a bronze medal, best in class for just a lager. You know, and that's a huge thing. This is a tiny little brewery down in Mitchelstown.
Yeah, but I'm like, you taste that, you can fully understand. Like that's.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's only 5%.
That's unbelievable.
5%.
Yeah, like that's the thing. 5% of the amount of flavour that is in it. It's just
Yeah.
Wow.
The 8 Degrees guys never get it wrong. They haven't got it wrong.
Is there a witchery going on here?
Oh, it's witchcraft. Yeah.
No?
No one really understands the process of brewing. Many of us pretend to or claim to. Many of us don't even make that claim. But yeah, it's witchcraft.
I think they know something that we don't anyway.
They clearly know how to make good beer. They have that nailed. It's marvellous. I suppose I should mention this India Pale Lager. The phrase India Pale Ale.
Which is quite common.
Yeah, IPA.
Yeah,
you know. A lot of people would say that's Irish Pale Ale, but IPA is, if you go back to when England had the colonies in India.
Yeah.
The beer that they would send out there, the pale ale would be the beer for the officers as opposed to the dark stuff and the heavy stuff.
It's too hot for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will be touching on the dark stuff and the heavy stuff next week.
Yeah.
But the beer they would send out to the guys in India would just spoil because they didn't have any refrigeration, so they needed to make it last longer.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
Because hops have an antibacterial property, they just found that the more hops are in the beer, the longer it lasts. So when the chaps in the east coast of India got their beer, or wherever, got the beer that was sent over from England, the pale ale, they had to make it hoppier for it to last. And people thought the flavour's a bit much, but the beer's okay. And then people got used to the flavour.
Yeah.
And before you know it, that particular style of beer became known as an Indian pale ale, or an India pale ale. Which just really means hoppy now. It's sort of evolved into that. Hence you have an India Pale Lager. And I've seen dark India Pale Lagers and black Imperial dark India Pale Lagers, you know. Just too much. But I mean, that's just what a glass of beer.
That's amazing.
It's like one of those things where you have to have been good. Because you haven't been good, you don't deserve it. You know, it's a bit like Christmas.
Brilliant.
Not that I claim to be good and I don't deserve it, but I've got to quite happily drink 6 or 7 pints of it now. It's gone. We always have one of these guys. We always have one of their beers on tap here.
Yeah.
They just fly out. They're so good.
Yeah. What do they have on top at the moment?
At the moment we have their newest beer, which is called the Trans-Pacific IPA, which is a lot of the Southern Hemisphere hops that they use. Vic's Secret, the Ella hop, Nelson Sauvin, and they're sort of all the newer hops, Simcoe and Citra and all the newer hops that give that tropical fruity flavour.
Yeah.
They all kind of specialise. It's kind of like their signature flavour profile, and the Trans-Pacific's on now, and that's 5%. Again, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's got a different backbone, a different finish to it, but the start of it is so bing.
Later on. Like, if you were thinking that this was ale, you'd say that this is pretty damn good ale as well. So it's like.
Oh, you could.
It's very.
Unless you knew better, you would say that it's a really good pale ale. It's light, you know, and the fact that it's a lager as well, it finishes better than most lagers.
Oh, definitely does. Oh, it does.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Now, I'm off today. Normally I would have one beer. You know, we'd waffle on a bit of that, and then I'd have to go down and, you know, commence my obligations for the day. However, today, as a special treat for you boys and girls,
That's the start to our Irish month.
so we mentioned earlier the 8 Degrees, small little brewery in Mitchellstown, which is miles from anywhere, and beerrate.com, which is ratebeer.com, which is a pretty, you know, big thing. Just because of reviews, they win a bronze award in bloody what's the word? In category for their Nomad. However, taking that a bit further, at the World Beer Awards, the Americans call it the World Beer Cup. This beer won the bronze medal overall. For a beer. Overall, for a beer, bronze medal. It's classed as an American amber ale. Again, it's a red ale. However, this is my absolute favourite. I absolutely love this beer. When this beer, I think it was 2013, maybe when they first made this beer. So look, you know, every week there's new beers coming in. It's like, we'll try these. And I tried their first three, the stout, pale ale, and the red ale. I'm like, yeah, they're pretty good. And then this bad boy turned up. I'm like,
Look at that colour, boys and girls.
it's a gorgeous colour, isn't it?
That's just amazing.
Lovely amber. It's got a gorgeous head as well. The head's really good on that.
Yeah.
So this is the Amber Ella. Ella is one of the new hops that are being bred in the Southern Hemisphere.
I know, they're very sneaky, aren't they? Ingredients: water, malted barley, wheat, hops, yeast.
All required. That's all they have to say.
But it's very like a trickery in the sense that just to say hops, there's a lot of things going on there.
But there's a lot. The Ella hop itself. There are two others. I'd imagine there's a bittering hop. Obviously, and there'll be something else. But the Ella hop is the one that the flavour comes out.
You definitely get the smell of the malt straight away.
It's all there. It's absolutely brilliant. You'll even get faint hints of the hop. Very faint, kind of a tangerine flavour. Very faint in behind that.
Yeah.
Bang on. Oh God. That has everything you want in a beer.
There's not a single square millimeter in your mouth that doesn't get an experience out of that one. That's just like, it just travels like
That's a big beer, right?
everywhere. Wow.
There's rye. I'm guessing now. I don't know this for a fact, but there's rye in that.
It does taste big like rock, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No, this is not a beer for if you want something light and throw back quick. This is definitely not this. This is a lot of flavour, isn't it?
And there's a bitterness to it, like a grainy. I reckon again that's the rye. There's a grainy kind of a rusty, musty bitterness.
There's so much bitterness that it gives you the same illusion in your mouth than sourness does.
Yes.
But it's not sourness. It's bitterness.
Yeah. Because it's very bitter.
I like when they trick you like that.
It's pure witchcraft.
That's brilliant.
That could not be repeated in a laboratory. Yeah. Brewing in Ireland has really taken off in the last 6 or 7 years. We touched on this, I think, 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
With Porterhouse starting it in '96 and Bjork, which would be the Beer Nerds Association in Ireland. A lot of good eggs, a lot of beer people. They have their annual awards, which this year they've called inclusive in the annual awards now. The 8 Degrees always get a mention. The White Hag always get a mention. They're out west, and they won the first year. They now have an award called for the Oliver Hughes Award for the best brewery, and they've given that to White Hag. Because if you look at every year in the beer awards, the Irish Beer Awards, White Hag are in there, second or third, or even one, along with the Galway Bay, who makes some really good beers. There's some great beers coming out of Ireland. Yeah. You know?
No, they really are. Like it's. A lot of people have this idea of English beer as being something quite unique, and because like a lot of the, especially the ale side of things, a lot of it's been done there for years. There's a lot of history there. And I remember going to London a couple of years ago. I was really looking forward to trying the beers, and I'm kind of like, yeah, it's nice, but it's a bit bland. This is nice. This is a bit bland. And like, it wasn't like that. I just went for the mainstream. Because like I tried whatever I could get my hands on. Very few of them were like kind of really mind blowing. And some of the new Irish beers are like, especially if it's like really kind of this kind of. This is a typical example of it in the sense that you want this kind of strong flavoured beers. A lot of the Irish ones we tried are just like, wow, you know. There's like, I know this is the craft beer boom at the moment, but I mean the Irish have definitely embraced it to the fullest, you know.
Because there wouldn't be, like again, if you go to England, every small town has a local beer.
Yeah.
Not so much nowadays, of course, but every area would have a beer of that area. And they've grown hops in the UK for centuries. You know, and all the hops that they use aren't really used that much anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they don't have the sort of high alpha acid count. So they're just, people use them as a base or a bittering hop now.
Not enough sun.
Not enough sun is what it is, yeah. Different soil chemistry as well doesn't help. And because of that, I think that when the brewing started here, people have nothing to base it on. You know, they don't have a tradition of, oh, my granddad made this beer, my dad made this beer.
And that's a good valid point. Like that's the side of the English brewing that it is. That I would have a lot of respect for it. That they still try to do that as well. Like that they try to hold on to the tradition part of it. Like, you know, that and again it becomes what we were talking about in a previous vlog, the social aspect of the beer and the connection to the social environment. You know, but if this is the other end of the spectrum, I'm a very happy man.
I love it. I think Irish beer is just super. It really has. There's a lot of because it doesn't have the heritage that most places would have, even recent heritage or anything like that. People have just gone out there and I've gone, you know, just mad.
Yeah.
You know, with more hops in it.
Yeah.
Put more. How hoppy do you want it? More hops. How hoppy do you want it? More hops. How hoppy do you want it? Hoppy as fuck.
Hoppy as fuck.
Yeah, we brewed that there last year or 2 years ago with a beer called Hop to Fuck.
Yeah. That's what we should call this episode. Hoppy as fuck.
It's become quite a thing. The brewing in this country, and cask beer as well. And the 8 Degrees guys don't cask.
You know, like in my beer drinking days, cask for my thing, you know.
Cask hophead.
It's hard to beat it.
I think. I suppose I shouldn't, but I reckon it's other than our stouts, which are just top drawer, the porterhouse stouts, are the best stouts in the country. I still think our cask hophead. Well, it's just a normal hophead, but in a cask. I'd love to try that in a cask. That there mustn't be understated. That's an achievement.
World Beer Cup Bronze Award. So 2014, this was the third best beer in the world. You're right. It's not nothing to be.
No, that's a real achievement.
That is
for two fellas in a shed.
And
in
like
nowhere,
and to because even at the, like obviously this is the World Cup of beer, they are beer connoisseurs, but they have to take in consideration also it can't just be personal decision of that this is what I like. There has to be element of like the overall flavor.
Oh yeah.
So like whatever they choose to be that high up has to be something that also other people would drink.
Well, of course.
So it has to be.
It'd be a rare day that they rate something as one of the finest beers in the world if half the beer drinkers thought that's awful.
Exactly, and that's just to have this this full body beer, a full like
Full everything.
there's a lot of kicks going on there. Like
There's a lot of different flavour notes from the beer underneath the malts, and the rye as well give a certain mouthfeel and a certain flavour. The hops, I think, really complement, the Ella hop really complements the beer that's underneath it.
yeah, I mean, like if you go for this hoppy beer with this much kind of, I call it tingling around my tongue, but
That works, yeah, that works.
what's the right word for it? It's not bitterness, but it would be bitterness, yeah.
This would have an international bittering units measurement of about 58.
Yeah, that's what I mean. To have that much bitterness in it and still rate like third in the world. That's a brave choice by anybody's standards. You know what I mean? Like,
Hoppy beers have gone. I mean, this is in the 50s.
It is a trend. I suppose.
And many of the American beers. I mean, for God's sake, some of them are so hoppy.
Yeah.
It really is like eating earwax.
Yeah, but
some of them are just mental.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, this is pretty damn bitter, but it's everything else that is in it.
It's delicious, is what it is. Yeah.
Balances it out. Like it's not.
It's perfectly balanced.
Because if you only had that bitterness, you go like, oh, what's wrong with the beer? You know?
Yeah, but it needs more to it, and it has it there.
Oh, it has everything.
Oh, I'm such a huge fan of it. I would have a bottle of this with my dinner. I would have a bottle.
Easy.
I would have a bottle of this with occasionally around to there's a real craft butcher around a craft, man. My life is full of this craft nonsense. I'm even wearing a waistcoat, for God's sake.
Right, so I don't think we could have started with a better way the Irish Beer Month. As I said, this month there'll be more Irish beers, there'll be stouts, there'll be all sorts of good stuff, and we'll definitely will get into. There probably will be more than just a video a week out of this month. It's such a good stuff. 8 Degrees, guys. Well done. Don't forget to subscribe.
Love you guys. 8 Degrees, I love you guys.
Don't forget to subscribe, and talk to you in the next